Everyone who watched Robin Williams on screen saw the same thing, a whirlwind of energy, a man who could make an entire room collapse into laughter within seconds. But Sally Field saw something different. When she finally opened up about her experience working alongside him on the set of Mrs. Doubtfire, she revealed a side of Robin Williams that the world rarely got to witness, a man of extraordinary gentleness, intuition, and quiet compassion hiding behind all that brilliance. Their first meeting happened not at some glamorous Hollywood event, but on a film set in 1993. Mrs. Doubtfire, directed by Chris Columbus, told the story of a divorced father so desperate to remain in his children's lives that he disguised himself as an elderly Scottish nanny. Robin played the lead role of Daniel Hillard, while Sally played Miranda, his ex-wife. From the moment they began working together, something unusual took shape between them, not just a professional rapport, but the beginning of a genuine friendship. What struck Sally immediately was the way Robin approached his craft. He was not simply there to get laughs. He cared about the story, about telling it honestly, and about being fully present in every scene. His process had a particular rhythm to it. He would complete 3 takes exactly as the script required, delivering what was expected with discipline and focus. But then something would shift. After those structured takes, he would begin to play. His creativity would take over, and without any warning, he would start improvising. New voices, unexpected gestures, lines that nobody had written. The atmosphere on set would change instantly. It became electric, alive with possibility. For many actors, this kind of unpredictability would be unsettling. But Sally embraced it. Rather than clinging rigidly to her prepared lines, she began responding to his surprises in real time. Her reactions became more honest because they were unplanned. The emotions that surfaced during their scenes felt genuine precisely because they were not always rehearsed. The characters felt more human, more deeply connected, and it was largely because of the dynamic between these two performers. Director Chris Columbus even made the decision to use multiple cameras simultaneously during filming, knowing that trying to capture Robin's magic from a single angle would mean losing half of what he gave. What made their chemistry so compelling was the contrast between them. Robin would push scenes into unpredictable territory, while Sally stayed grounded, rooted, and emotionally steady. That balance created something rare on screen, layers of humor and feeling that grew naturally from 2 very different but equally strong artistic sensibilities. Neither tried to overshadow the other. They simply worked together, each lifting the performance of the other without making it obvious. Off camera, that same mutual respect continued. Robin paid attention to the people around him, not just as co-stars but crew members, assistants, and everyone in between. He remembered names, asked about people's lives, and seemed to genuinely care about what the answer was. Then came a moment that Sally has described as one of the most quietly profound of her entire career. One day on the Mrs. Doubtfire set, she received news that her father had died. He had suffered a stroke years earlier and had been living in a nursing home. His passing hit her deeply. She was in a camper near the mock courtroom where they were shooting an emotional divorce scene, and despite the grief that was washing over her, she tried to hold herself together. She was a 2-time Oscar winner, a professional, and she intended to act through the pain. She didn't break down. She simply tried, with everything she had, to be the actress she had always been. Robin noticed immediately. He wasn't focused only on himself or his next improvisation. He was watching her, and he felt her sorrow even though she had tried to conceal it. Without hesitation, he walked over and quietly pulled her aside. He asked simply, "Are you okay?" She told him the truth. Her father had just died. What happened next said everything about who Robin Williams really was. He didn't offer hollow condolences or retreat back to his work. He said, "Oh my God, we need to get you out of here right now." And he meant it. Even though he was both the lead actor and a co-producer on the film, with a packed schedule and countless scenes still to shoot, he immediately went to director Chris Columbus and rearranged the day's filming. He asked whether the courtroom scenes involving Sally could be shot without her, suggesting they reorganize the schedule so she could leave. The production adapted. Scenes were moved. The cast and crew worked around her absence. As Sally later recalled quietly, they shot around me the rest of the day. It was not a grand gesture meant for headlines. There was no speech, no announcement. Robin simply saw someone in pain and did what needed to be done. Sally has said this was a side of Robin that very few people ever got to see in public. He was, in her words, very sensitive and intuitive, someone who understood emotions and moved to protect people before they even had to ask. For someone who had spent decades in Hollywood and known many celebrated performers, it was especially moving to witness that level of compassion from someone so beloved and so constantly in the spotlight. Years later, she said, "I never shared this story before." She was not looking for attention in telling it. She simply wanted to honor an honest moment of humanity that had stayed with her ever since. That kindness was not reserved only for Sally. Everyone on the set of Mrs. Doubtfire felt his warmth, from the actors to the lighting crew to the makeup artists he would chat with during lunch breaks, not because he had to, but because he genuinely wanted to. He noticed people. He made them feel seen. If someone was having a difficult day, Robin had a quiet way of finding them and helping them feel better, whether through laughter, a kind word, or simply by listening without distraction. This compassion extended far beyond any single film set. He co-founded Comic Relief USA, a charity that raised millions to support people experiencing homelessness. He gave generously to literacy programs, veteran services, and organizations helping people with disabilities. He was a star who used his spotlight to illuminate others, and he did so with sincerity rather than showmanship. Actors like Al Pacino and Ben Stiller noted that behind the comic brilliance was a man who felt things deeply. His intuitive nature allowed him to sense pain, joy, and tension even when those feelings were unspoken. The wild humor and the fast-talking characters were real, but so was the quiet empathy underneath. Sally once reflected that many people never saw that side of him. That is what made him irreplaceable. His humor made people laugh, but his kindness made them feel loved. Tragically, the man who gave so much warmth to others was quietly fighting a battle that nobody around him fully understood. In the early months of 2014, his career had slowed. A television show he had hoped would mark a new chapter, The Crazy Ones, was cancelled after a single season. He had also navigated the emotional weight of a second divorce before remarrying, and adjusting to a new chapter of life while carrying the grief of a failed one was far from easy. Then, in May of that year, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, a devastating blow for a man whose entire identity was rooted in quick thinking, physical expression, and a sharp mind that never seemed to rest. But the full truth only emerged after his death. An autopsy revealed that Robin had actually been suffering from Lewy body dementia, a rare and aggressive brain disorder that affects memory, thinking, movement, and behavior. It can cause severe depression, paranoia, confusion, and hallucinations, and its symptoms come and go unpredictably, making it extraordinarily difficult to diagnose correctly. He had no idea what was truly happening inside his mind. He was trying to make sense of a storm without knowing what had caused it. Those closest to him watched as the lively, sharp-witted man they knew became more anxious and withdrawn. His memory began to fail him. His hands trembled. He became frightened of losing control over the very mind that had defined him. His wife, Susan Schneider, later described the experience as the terrorist inside my husband's brain. One moment he would seem entirely like himself, and the next he would be confused or mentally distant. He rarely spoke publicly about the pain he was carrying. To the world, he still smiled. He still made people laugh. But behind that smile was someone fighting a silent and deeply confusing battle entirely alone. On August 11, 2014, the world learned that Robin Williams had died. The grief was immediate and global. Fans, colleagues, and friends mourned the loss of a man who had brought so much light. Billy Crystal, one of Robin's closest friends, delivered a speech at that year's Emmy Awards with his voice cracking as he said that Robin was the greatest friend anyone could ever imagine. Whoopi Goldberg described the loss as feeling like losing part of herself. Former President Barack Obama honored him as someone who had touched every element of the human spirit. Ordinary people all over the world felt the loss as personally as if they had known him. His legacy endures in every film he left behind. The genie in Aladdin, full of warmth and unstoppable energy. Mrs. Doubtfire, carrying love for his children through every scene. Mr. Keating in Dead Poets Society, urging a generation to seize the day and find their own voices. The therapist in Good Will Hunting, offering wisdom and compassion to someone who needed it desperately. Each of these characters carried something of who Robin truly was, someone who blended humor with humanity, who could make people laugh while also making them feel genuinely understood. Sally Field has never forgotten the man she met on that film set in 1993. She once said, with unmistakable sorrow, "He should be growing old like me." In those words lives the ache of missing someone who left far too soon. But what she carries most deeply is not the memory of his performances or his fame. It is the memory of the day he noticed her pain, walked across a film set, and made sure she didn't have to pretend. That was Robin Williams at his truest, sensitive, present, and quietly protective of the people he cared about. His laughter was a gift to the world, but it was his kindness that left the deepest mark.